Hi, everyone. Welcome to the College to Calling Summit. My name is Miko Lau, and I'm really excited to bring together this show because I want to help inspire, educate, and empower fellow college graduates and people in their early 20s on how to rediscover themselves, find a calling, and to monetize their gifts and passion after college. And today, I'm really honored and privileged to have a very special guest here with us. His name is Carlos Redlich. Carlos is a highly sought after direct response copywriter and marketing consultant. And he's worked with all levels of entrepreneurs from six-figure startups to nine-figure mammoths. Carlos now travels around the world and learns as much as possible from different cultures so that he can deliver as much value as possible to fellow copywriters and marketers in an authentic and straightforward manner. So Carlos, thank you for being here. Really excited to talk to you today.
I really appreciate you having me. This is an awesome opportunity.
Great. So let's jump straight into this. Why don't you start and tell us what exactly is copywriting?
Definitely. I guess you could say there's a few different ways you could describe this, but the way I like to describe it is it's essentially what you would write or what you would say in a message to get somebody to do something. Maybe that means give you money. Maybe that means come to your birthday party event or your wedding, whatever that means, the stuff, the message that goes on that piece of paper, website, whatever it is, maybe even a video script. It's supposed to generate some kind or get some kind of message. And that's what a copywriter, a good copywriter is supposed to do, at least a direct response copywriter, which is what I do.
Right. Okay. So this sounds like something nobody ever really learns from school. I remember my writing class wasn't like this. So why don't you tell us, like, how did you come into doing copywriting, marketing? Was this something that you were doing back when you were in your 20s?
Yeah, so that's super funny. It's a good question. So when I first started learning copywriting, it was actually from my martial art instructor. So I was good at like punching and kicking and stuff, but I was like terrible, very bad when it came to teaching that to other people. I just couldn't communicate. It wouldn't happen. I would tell people, "Hey, this is what you got to do." I just sounded like a caveman. It was terrible. And so my martial art instructor pulled me to the side and he quickly found out I just wasn't good at this talking thing. So he's like, let's teach you this thing called copywriting, because essentially it's salesmanship in print. It's what you would say to persuade or influence somebody, but we're doing it through the written word. Maybe let's start there, build the foundation, and then we'll think about, getting you to talk to people again. You know what I mean? So it was essentially a tool for personal development. In the beginning, I didn't think I was going to be a copywriter. He just said, "Hey, go look at this guy, Craig Garber. Go look at this guy, Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert, all these different people." And I did. I just bought the books or read them online or whatever. And then that was it. I mean, I focused on writing copy to help my martial art instructor sell his martial arts stuff, like through flyers and emails and things like that. But it was really a skill I learned just so I could learn how to influence, because when I was teaching class, I was influencing people. I wasn't, but that was my job. I was supposed to help influence them, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't teach them. I couldn't guide them. I couldn't do anything. And so copywriting really helped me build that foundation, which eventually turned into a pretty cool way to build a business. And then now I use it essentially as like my secret weapon. It's a tool that I use to build other businesses that aren't copywriting.
Wow, that is so funny. That was like a funny coincidence that really turned out to be a really amazing thing in your life. But let's talk about martial arts. I know that you've been doing this for a long time. Are you still doing martial arts today?
Well, I don't own a martial arts school, and so I joined a martial arts school when I moved over to here to Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an hour away from where I live now. So now I have a big, what we call a bob. It's like a big, it's a boxing dummy thingy, but it's in
Yeah.
the shape of a person, so I get to pretend, and that's what I hit every day. I just do like a bunch of punches and a bunch of kicks, and I do my little workout, feel cool, but the guy doesn't hit back. He has no arms, so it's my secret advantage. I get to feel like I'm good again.
Well, it works. So, my question I want to ask you, doing martial arts for 15 to 16 years, what were some of the biggest lessons that you have learned from that arts that you really implement in your daily life? Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I guess I've thought about it to a degree, but I haven't been asked that before. So that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Well, one thing for sure is I learned how to, so there's something that one of our coaches, I would call him, Tony Torres, taught me. It was how to survive, reverse, and then re-engage. And so this guy was a special operator in the military, very high level guy. And so he didn't just train martial art, he actually used it in real life combat. And so when he was teaching us stuff, he said, listen, there's a point in your fight, in the battle, whatever it might be, where you're just covering up. You're trying to survive. You don't know what's going on. There may be a bunch of people, right? But then there's going to be a time where you have to move forward and try to reverse the situation, and then you have to go on the ultimate attack. And so just like in business, when you're starting out, you're going to get punched in the face a lot because you usually don't have a lot of money. And so when your ad account gets shut down or whatever gets shut down or your bank account gets shut down, that's essentially you getting hit in the face and you're covering up. But that doesn't mean you're out of the fight. That just means you have to reverse and then re-engage. And once you get a small win, if you make $5,000 or $1,000, every single bit of it in the beginning has to be pushed right back into the business so you can build the momentum. In the beginning, you need forced momentum, and then you can start having it a little bit more organically. But it's just like a fight. Sometimes you reverse, then sometimes you're just trying to defend yourself and survive. Then you reverse, then you go on the all-out attack.
Wow, I love that so much, and I can really see that visually. So thank you for giving us that example. And I just love, Carlos, how you're able to really turn something that you're super passionate in, and you really truly turn it into something that you can monetize and build a successful business. So, but I know that copywriting and marketing wasn't something that you've always been doing when you started as an entrepreneur. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the first business that you ever had?
Yeah, so the first business, it was me and my buddy Vit Singh. We opened up a martial arts school in Jacksonville, Florida. We were originally from Miami. Well, he's from Trinidad, but he moved to Miami. Then we went to Jacksonville. Miami was just way too pricey. It was just way too pricey. So we went north. We went to Jacksonville, Florida, and started up a school there. Over the course of a year, we built that over 100 people. To us, that was like unbelievable. But the bad thing is we were basically breaking even. You see, we had made like the biggest mistake as rookie entrepreneurs. We had this big dream of wanting to be these great entrepreneurs. We didn't even think about how to get customers. We just knew we're martial artists. We're really good now at teaching people. We're really good at actually doing the actual thing. But we didn't know anything about marketing. So we signed on to pay $10,000 a month in rent at our first freaking location. And when we opened the doors, we had like nobody except for friends who didn't really pay anything, right? So it was like, that was terrible. And then we're like, well, we're great teachers. We're great martial artists, but we have no one to teach anything to. Not even, we can't give them a lollipop. There's nothing we can do. So fortunately, we live near the beach in Jacksonville, Florida. And so we would go down to the beach. We would work out because this was we didn't know marketing, right? It was like we worked out. And then as people were talking to us saying, hey, that's a cool little workout. Can we work out with you? We would invite them back to the gym. That kind of worked a little bit. It was super slow. And so I started putting my little copywriting stuff that I did for my martial art instructor, Dwight Woods in Miami. He taught me copywriting, right? And so I was like, well, let me put this copywriting skill to use. So we built a cool website, which didn't get any traffic. It was really cool. And then we built some flyers. And then when I was giving flyers out to people, I noticed that it would just get thrown on the floor. And I was basically spamming people with flyers like, da, 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 da. Someone's going to buy, right? But no one was buying. And so the next step was, well, these flyers are good. I mean, they have like before and after pictures, a good headline. Like, why isn't it working? And so it was costing us money. I mean, we have rent to pay. Plus it costs like, at the time, it was like $200 or $300 to get 10,000 flyers. That was a lot of money to me. Like, that was a lot of money. And so we couldn't afford to lose these flyers anymore. People just kept throwing them away. It was terrible. So we went to the beach again, and I rounded up a couple of friends and a couple of our students that we actually were able to get into the school. And we went there, and this was our pitch. I would run up to people and I'd say, hey, real quick, I'm not crazy, because people think you're crazy when you're running up to them. They don't know you. And so, hey, I'm not crazy. You know, real quick, here, hold this. And it was such a terrible pitch. I would put my flyer against their chest. So then they have to take it. Like you can't not take my flyer. So they take my flyer and I say, and I would always put my hands up because, if you wouldn't know this, I guess, because you're not a guy, but guys approaching other guys are going to be very like, what is this guy trying to fight me? What's going on? So I'd be like, I'm not trying to do anything. And so I'd always have a big smile on my face, which is where I learned you have to smile or people think you're like trying to rob them, right? So I put my hands up and I say, hey, I'm not crazy. Hold this real quick, put this thing in their chest. And I say, we just opened up a martial arts school right over there. And I point in this weird thing towards our martial arts school, which was like 5 miles away. And then I would say, and what I'd like to do is give you guys a free week. Are you interested in martial arts or fitness? Either one of those, or maybe both. And if they said yes, I would say, awesome. I'd capture their information, which was really important. I wouldn't just give them the flyer and cross my fingers. I would say, awesome. So are you available tomorrow to come in for to start your free week? Yeah. Okay, great. What's the best name, email, telephone number? What's all that? So I can send you a text message about what you can expect. Oh, because you have to give them a reason to give you the information. Otherwise, you're just asking for info, right? So I'm like, I'll give you a video about what you can expect in the free class tomorrow, but what's your contact information? So I can send that to you. And so I would get their contact info. And for people who didn't show up, we would follow up with them. Now we had real leads, right? That was like a big breakthrough for me. So maybe that's common sense for a lot of people, but that was a breakthrough. I'm like, got to capture their information. But now for the people who said, I'm not interested. I don't really know, but they had the flyer in their hand. I would reach back out in a very intrusive way and grab that flyer right out of their hand. I didn't realize what I was doing. What I was actually doing is called a takeaway sale. I wasn't doing this on purpose. I was just cheap. I'm like, well, if you're not going to come, I need that flyer back, buddy, because that's like 5 cents or something. I need that back. So I took the flyer back, and they told me, well, I didn't even get a chance to look at the flyer. I was like, hey, no worries. If it's not something for you, I don't want you to waste your time looking at a flyer. And they were like, well, maybe I am interested. Well, hey, why don't we do this? Hold the flyer. Let me get your name and info. Let's book a free week for you. And you tell me after your free week if you like it. If you don't like it, you got a free week. Boom, done. You don't have to pay me a single penny. But what if you do like it? Cool. What's your info? And I'd sign them up. And so that was like my experience. I did it out of being cheap, but it was really called a takeaway sale. So I don't know if that really answered the question, but that was my first business. And that was like my first breakthrough of how to get clients to a degree, how to get members into the gym. And then slowly I wrote some copy for a friend. And after doing that for about a year, I started realizing that, copywriting is kind of cool because once we had a steady base of people, we can actually send them emails and upsell them to workshops and, getting cool t-shirts and things like that. Right. And I was like, wow, this is all through emails and all through buying stuff on our website. Now I feel like a real copywriter. And so I would do that for other people that were friends of mine that I would just kind of meet on Facebook and like these marketing groups and stuff. It sounds like a weird dating website, but all these weird marketing groups. And so I'd write them some free copy and, or sometimes like for a couple $100 and they would get results. And I'm like, holy moly, these guys are making way more money than I am. I'm here barely scraping by with 100 members in our school. And these guys are killing it in their boxers. This is just madness. And so I started kind of getting hooked on that and started writing for different people. And slowly I started making more money doing the copywriting thing in my little freaking poopy apartment in Jacksonville, Florida. Than I was making at the gym. And I eventually said, enough of the gym. I got to focus on this because it's virtually all profit.
Wow, that is so funny. I love the flyer experience, and you really show that at the beginning of building any business, it really is a lot of you really doing all the work, promoting for that business. But knowing everything that you know now, with all your experiences, like for someone who just started being an entrepreneur, who just started building a business, what would you say are the absolute key thing or skills that they must learn to really be successful?
Marketing, but that's such a broad term, so I'll be more specific. It almost doesn't matter what business you're doing, and whatever time whenever you watch this video, maybe Facebook ads are cool, or maybe it's like Twitter ads or Snapchat ads or whatever it is. But as fast as you can turn paid advertising into profit, that's what you want to do. And so what I would suggest at the almost when it's almost 2020, the year 2020, you should probably save up like 10 grand in your piggy bank to just spend on paid advertising. And Facebook ads, you know, you're not dropping, you know, 10 grand in one shot. You're doing it like $100 at a time or something, but have the budget of $10,000 at least to start with, because then, you know, you're not going to be in a situation I was in where I had to make this flyer work, or it was like I couldn't eat, right? I mean, that's not a really good way to grow a business, because if you got a little bit of money, 10 grand isn't a lot of money when you're actually starting a real business, but it's a good enough money to turn paid advertising into profit if you're selling something that's, you know, a few $100 or even $1,000 or more, especially if it's $1,000 or more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how about copywriting? That was a skill that you pretty much learned on your own completely.
Well, paid advertising requires copywriting. Good copy is what turns paid advertising into profit. So you can have great pictures. So the way, we'll talk about Facebook ads, for example, right? Because that's what people are using a lot today. So Facebook ads, the first thing that grabs somebody's attention is actually not the copy. As much as I would love to say it's the copy, it's the picture or the video, whatever that initial image is, that's what captures the attention. But that's not going to make somebody do anything other than stop and look at the video or look at the image, right? If there's no message to go along with that pre-qualifies somebody and takes them down a journey to want to continue on with you and learn more, if that isn't there, then it's not going to work. And so, I mean, I can actually do you mind if I give you guys like a little 5-step formula?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there's a 5-step formula I use for a lot of Facebook ads, but it can basically be used for pretty much any, you know, paid advertisement to a degree. And this is kind of the structure, right? So you have, the first step is a yes question. I'm drinking coffee, so I'll just use coffee for an example. You can freestyle this. This isn't even going to be the best pitch, but you can actually, you know what? We'll freestyle it after I give the whole thing. So a yes question. Then you have a story to relate. That's step 2. Step 3 is the big aha moment. Step 4 is you suggest the possible solution. And then step 5 is you give them a command, which is click here to the call to action. So step 1 is a yes question. Step 2 is a story to relate. Step 3, big aha moment. Step 4, suggest a solution. Step 5, the call to action. So how does that work out? Well, if I'm selling some coffee mug thingy, I don't know what this is called in real life, but it's not a coffee mug, but we'll call it coffee container or something, right? So I would ask a yes question. I would target people who like coffee, first off. Like coffee? That's a yes question. Yes, I like coffee. Okay, well, what's an issue? A lot of people who drink coffee, the coffee is usually, it'll be cold after like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and you wish it was hot after 10 hours or something. Okay, that's awesome. Let's say that solves this. Okay, well, story to relate. Okay, like coffee? Yes. Well, I remember when I was drinking my coffee out of every other rink-a-dink coffee mug thing, and after the first 15 or 20 minutes, I'd have to throw it back in the microwave because it was so cold, I could barely drink it. I'd actually freeze my tongue off. It was ridiculous, especially in the winter. But now okay, so that's the story to relate, right? And now I'm going to transition to step 3, which is the big aha moment. But then something crazy happened. My buddy Billy Bob, told me about this really cool container called something, and it actually keeps your coffee warm for up to 6 hours. You don't ever have to warm it up. Now, okay, so that's step 3, which is the big aha moment. Step 4 is I'm going to suggest a possible solution, right? Now, this coffee mug thingy, whatever it's called, has worked for me, and it's worked for thousands of other people. Maybe it'll work for you. Now, the reason that's important is because what it makes the reader want is that, I hope it works for me. Holy moly, it worked for thousands of other people. It should work for me. I got to figure out more to see if it works for me, right? So that then leads you to step 5, which is, so to see if this is going to work for you, just click here and check out the full video or whatever it is. And boom, that's your impromptu ad about a coffee thing. But you can do it about anything as long as you follow those 5 steps. Yes question, story to relate, big aha moment, suggest a solution, and then a call to action. You can write a paid ad in minutes.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that, Carlos. When you were going through that 5 steps, I was already thinking I could put that into use immediately, because a lot of times when I'm making an Instagram post, Facebook post, I just have no idea how to structure that caption in a way that really converts people taking action and even stopping by and actually reading my caption. So thank you so much for that. Hopefully our listeners can also implement that immediately, go on social media, and they can do anything. Like how you just did
Yeah,
a
I mean,
TikTok.
you should,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I suggest is I'm a nerd about this. So
Mm-hmm.
I do this with my girlfriend, Tiffany. Like we'll sell each other stuff for no good reason. Like sell me this pen type stuff. We'll do it while we're walking through, whatever grocery store and say, hey, sell me that, sell me this. And obviously we go through the process. So it's a little bit more sales than is needed for a loaf of bread maybe, but it helps train you to be able to do this. Like if we were to, like if I was to impromptu write an ad for you, right? And for anybody interested in becoming a copywriter, this is a good skill, being able to write quickly and come up with ads quickly, because you can polish them off later to make sure they're good. But you can charge people $100, $150 for a single Facebook ad. So it's like, rack up 10 of them and do them in like an hour. It's not that hard. It's fast money. So like, you a college student who wants to start their own business but don't know where to start? Yes. I know exactly what that's like. In fact, when my friend Carlos started his business, he didn't know what the heck he was doing. He was passing out flyers. He was going broke. He was going into debt. He was on food stamps. He didn't know anything. But then something crazy happened. He stumbled across this really amazing, let's say I was one of your case studies, right? He stumbled across our college series here, our college tutorial series here. We're showing everybody how to do X, Y, and Z. And it's helped him, and it's actually helped hundreds of other people. Maybe it'll help you too. So to see if it does, just go ahead, check out the free video I put up for you on the next page, and let me prove it to you. Boom! Easy ad. Now, does that need to be polished? Of course, but you got 90% of the guts there.
Wow, thank you. I'm going to use that. Yeah, so I want to lead into the next question, right? Since you said it's so simple that as long as we practice every single day, obviously it's a skill set to be mastered. But why don't you tell us more about the possibilities and the feasibility nowadays to really leverage the internet, leverage technology to really build a business, to make money? And it's so simple nowadays.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the first types of business, well, it's not really my first business, but I have a few niche businesses. I just call them freedom fund businesses, because like I'll have a business that funds my traveling. I have a business that funds our cars. So I look at things in a different way, I guess. If I want something, I need a business to, even if it's a small little niche website business, I can produce a couple grand a month. If the cost of what I want is $600 a month, I need a website that makes $2 to $3 grand a month. That's very easy to do. And so you just do that. And that could be your freedom fund business for your whatever, right? So one of ours in the beginning was I Love Jeet Kune Do. It's got 80 or 90,000 people on the page, and we've got thousands of people, I think over 10,000 people who have come into it actively. It's grown like crazy, and we haven't done anything. I haven't done anything in years, and it's still there. Like it's unbelievable. We have 14,000 people in our actual inner circle community. We have 80,000 people or 90,000 people on our fan page, and it's something we did in less than a year. And within our first 3 days, we launched this little membership that was $69 a month, and we had, I think, just over 100 people join it within the first 3 days, and we were like, holy moly, this is crazy. And so that was our first freedom fund business. And then we started realizing you can do this in any type of passionate industry. That's one of the couple keys. Are they already buying stuff like this? You can't have a pure passionate audience that is completely broke and refuses to pay anything, because then it just will not work. You've only got half the puzzle. But if you've got people who buy stuff, doesn't have to be high ticket stuff, but if they buy t-shirts about, yoga or whatever, and stuff like that, like that is a great little freedom fund business. You can go full time, and there's people who make millions of dollars doing it, or you can just spend a couple months once you kind of crack the code on how to do it, build it up to a few $1,000s and say, okay, I'm not passionate about this. I just kind of want something I can tap into, jump into a niche really, really quickly, make some money, and then go do whatever it is that you're actually interested in. But that's what the internet lets you do. It lets you jump into different niche markets that, you may not really care about, but you can find the products that are actually done for, you can find, stop me if I'm getting like too ridiculous on here, you know, but there's stuff called PLR content and MRR content. So there's master resale rights and private label right content that you can buy for like $5, very cheap. And if you're just jumping into a niche that you're not necessarily the most passionate, you're almost going to just kind of treat it like as a tester business or a side hustle or whatever you want to call it, I suggest using those because they're already pre-done products that are created, and for $5 you, along with thousands of other people, have purchased the rights to sell this product. So it's not like you've got the exclusive rights, right? Let's not get it twisted, but you've got the ability to sell it, and it's a whole, you know, it's a whole product package. So you can, for example, like we've done this and we've gotten an entire business up in less than a day, in just 4 or 5 hours or something. I get the copy up, do a funnel within ClickFunnels, get some PLR content from a website called idplr.com. I paid like $80 a year or something, and that's it. And it's like, it's done, right? And so it's very easy to jump into these different niche industries. And with the internet, as long as you can write good copy and you target the right industry, but you actually know how to drive traffic, that's really the secret. And obviously you have to have a good, what's called a good offer, right? A good offer would be like, hey, you want this Rolls Royce, which is normally $400,000 for $95,000? Holy moly, that's an irresistible offer. That seems like is that a scam? Like, you need an irresistible offer, right? But that kind of goes along with copy. So as long as you have copy, great copy, or good copy, a great offer, traffic targeting the exact person who would want that stuff, then you can make some money, as long as it's passionate audience and people who buy stuff.
Wow. And there are so many like Facebook groups, different communities that already form online nowadays that are tailored to specific audiences. So you can really leverage that.
Well, depending on who, I'm sorry to cut you off.
It's okay.
You mentioned something really interesting. It's something I've done. You know, I've done it. I stole it from my buddy, Josh Snow. I can't pronounce his actual last name, but that's not Josh. Anyways, Snow Teeth Whitening is his company. Josh Snow gave me this idea. He just calls himself Josh Snow because his last name is way too hard for any normal person who doesn't understand anything. Anyways, so I'm going to kill myself here with Josh. So he told me something where he would buy websites and different, you know, if he's selling a product, for example, and we'll just use this pen, right? I'm selling pens, and I want to sell this pen on the internet. He'll go to different blog sites. He'll go on Google, type in whatever the name brand of this pen is, look at all the different blog sites on the top page and say, hey, I want to advertise here, and I want to advertise all over your website, all of your email list. I want to basically own your website for advertising. And how much is that? Okay, he'll get that price, and then he'll basically have two offers, one where he'll just buy the entire website outright, or he'll just do the advertising. So I heard him tell me that, and I'm like, that's genius. He's way more of a baller than I am, so I'm not at the level where I'm just going to be capping websites all at the top of the Google. But what I can do is I've bought a few Facebook groups, and so Facebook groups I find to be very valuable because they're very engaging. You know who it is because it's attached to a Facebook account. So if you're doing sales and somebody says, yes, I'm interested in something, you can have your salespeople literally direct message them, right? So what I've done is I've purchased different groups in specific little niche industries that have 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 people already in it. And I purchased them for hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars. So I found that those are a little bit easier to acquire because a lot of people will build a group in a certain industry just because they like that niche. They're just like, I love soccer. I'm going to start a soccer group. And it grows to like 10,000 people, but they don't know how to make money. It's almost a fluke. They're not marketers. They just are like an actual soccer person. And so you come up to them and say, hey, I really like your group. This is amazing. You know, are you open to selling it? I have a soccer business. I'm looking to acquire these types of little groups. And then if they say yes, you ask them how much. This is what I do. I ask them how much they're interested in selling it for, and then I just drop it down to a quarter, and then I offer it to them and see if they take it. And then sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and then they come back a week later and make it like half off what they normally said. And you just, my buddy Vit taught me this. You just hold your effing position. And so you just hold your effing position, and you just say, no, I'm sorry. I really appreciate it. I know it's probably worth out of your mind. It's just not what I can do. So if you're open to this, I can keep this offer on the table for like the next 4 days or 3 days or whatever you want to put. But if not, I'm just going to have to go look for another group. Just let me know what you want to do. And now there's a little bit of urgency. You've already, once you present that after they've come back on their first you know what I mean? After they've already discounted themselves and you give them that up, now they're more likely to take it. Anyways, that's how I've done it. There's no real set secret to my negotiation strategies. That's just what I like to do.
Wow, Carlos, you're such a genius in everything that you do.
I don't know about that. But I learned from Josh. See, that's if it's my genius, is I know I'm not like the smartest guy in the room. So I just surround myself with people far smarter and just do what they say. It's just not that hard. I was a martial artist who was taught to like listen to a coach. So like people forget, like it's a good thing to have a coach. It's not a bad thing to pay a coach or even be surrounded by people who you consider a coach. So that's all I'm good at. I just follow directions really good.
Right. You seek out individuals who have the success that you want and you learn from them. So why don't we talk about that? How do we go about surrounding ourselves with the right people? I know it's so important. They said our network is our net worth. So how do we do that?
Well, shoot, what I did with Anthony Powell, he was he's still, I mean, he's a great mentor of mine. He gives me so much advice. I was just hanging out with him yesterday at his place, and it's like, he was giving me such golden advice. People would pay so much money for him. Like, this is unbelievable. So the way I was able to get in his world is he hired me as a copywriter. So part of it is you got to get in the game. My best mentors have been my clients, because after they've been my clients in copywriting or whatever your super skill is, maybe it's graphic design, whatever it is, serve the higher echelon of the business group. And if you can close a handful of them, that's perfect, because all of their friends, you know, for lack of a better word, are rich and powerful if they're rich and powerful. So why not, if you close one, you're in the group. And so what you want to do, what I've done, a lot of people are like, let their ego get in the way. You just kind of got to know your lane. You know, if I'm trying to get up here and I'm just right here right now, I may be higher than some people here, but I'm trying to get up freaking here. So you got to know your lane. So I do I do stuff for free. I'll get paid to do something. I'll throw in other stuff for free. I'll pay out of my own dollar to go meet them at their office and say, hey, you know what, if you want, listen, you're going to pay me 10 grand or something to write this copy. Pay me that. I appreciate it. We're going to get that done. But what I want to do is fly over to you at a time that's convenient to you, to your office, sit with you for a day or a weekend, whatever's needed, so we can implement this. Because I found that if I work with you one-on-one, it's much better than if you just, work with me over Skype or something. And you know what? A lot of the higher level people love that, because they can touch you. They know you're not just taking their 10 grand or 5 grand or whatever you charge, 100 grand, and disappearing over the internet, because you can do stuff like that. Not disappear, but you can charge people that, and that's fine. Like, you can do that over the internet. I've done that. But if you're trying to really get into that next level group, go meet the person who's giving you the initial bit of money, because that shows a lot of commitment on your end. And when you start talking to them before you leave that little 2-day session at their office, before you go back home, you have to make sure you ask for some kind of referral. Be like, hey, Nancy, I know hopefully, what do you think of our experience so far? Is it a thumbs up or thumbs down, worst experience ever? Hopefully it's a thumbs up if you've done all this, right? So 2 thumbs up. Awesome. Listen, I know you're a baller, Nancy, so you probably know tons of other people, right? Yeah. Well, listen, what I'd like to do is offer you 20% referral fee. Do you think you could refer me to some of your friends? Because this is really the only way my business grows, and I'd love to keep serving people at your level, if that makes any sense. And they're going to be like, yeah, of course. And you're telling at your level. Who doesn't want to be told that they're your level? Like, come on. So it makes them feel good. You are a hustler because you've taken out of your own money, the money they paid you, flown over there. If it's within, most of my clients that I do this with are all in the United States. So it's cost me only a few $100. It may be different in other parts of the world. But anyways, that's kind of my little secret. If you want to get in there, get in the game of selling your own services, and go out and cold email the top businesses. I mean, you don't have to have a big marketing budget. Cold email the top businesses. If you're a copywriter and you're trying to figure out how to get high level copywriting clients, you can like go to the 2 Comma Club website, which is where all the people who've made $1 million using this thing called ClickFunnels, they're all listed there. Like, it's like, everyone there is apparently a millionaire. We're just cold email all of them. If you got the time, because if you don't have the money, you've got the time. So you got the time, cold email them, and you're going to cold email hundreds of millionaires. One of them is going to probably say yes, work for them, even if it's cheap. Go visit them, build a relationship, and boom, it's going to be unbelievable.
Wow, it's so funny that you said this, because this is exactly how I got connected with Anthony Powell, the guy that you just mentioned, and that's how I got to know you. I was just cold emailing him when I found him on his website, and then he referred me to you because I asked him for a referral. So that's so amazing, and it's really great to see how generous and kind these individuals really are out there to really just talk to a stranger like me and offer some advice. So definitely go out there and just make it happen. It's all about taking initiative. And yeah, so Carlos, I want to ask you, what the number one, there's so many social media platforms out there, Facebook, social media, website. What would you say are like the first thing people should look at to get the best outcome when building a business?
So that could vary. So what worked for me really well was Facebook, organic Facebook within Facebook groups, and then paid ads with Facebook. That's worked really well for me. I'm just now starting to tap into LinkedIn, but I don't know anything about LinkedIn really. I've never made any money with LinkedIn. I don't know anything about it. So for me, Facebook has worked well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's like the best for everyone. The thing I would suggest to every business, though, is to at least use paid ads, like paid Facebook ads. And that's where I would start, assuming that's like a viable, which it's basically viable for any business, even people who don't think it's possible. It's possible, right? So I would start there.
Okay, Facebook. All right. So if our listeners are listening right now and they'd be like, oh, this sounds super cool and so fun, so easy, and they want to start a business today, and what are some of the steps that you would say they can really get started, like tangible, specific action steps that they can take starting today after listening to this interview?
Got it. So you could do, so step one is go to clickbank.com. When you go to clickbank.com, there's going to be a section called the affiliate marketplace. In the affiliate marketplace, you're going to see a thing on the left-hand side, I believe, that says categories. Those are all the different niche markets that are out there, right? And now here's what's cool about ClickBank. I'm going to give you copywriting advice because that's what I'm going to suggest. But anyways, it could be anything, really. So, so that's still step one. So you choose what niche you want to go into. Let's say you want to sell your own products. You're not a copywriter. You want to sell your own stuff. So you want to start your own business. You choose a niche in here. And set up so step one is choose a niche. That's your niches to select from. The reason I say that is because that's what people are selling in, which means there's buyers in that industry. So you don't want to jump into a niche that only you thought about, because that means it's a niche of one. Terrible, not a good idea. So you go into that category section. You're going to see all those different niche markets. Choose one that you think is cool, that you resonate with. Second step, go to idplr.com, pay $80 or $100 a year, whatever it is, I forget. Very nominal. And then find a product for that niche that you just chose from ClickBank. So it will be there. There's like hundreds of thousands of products on there. So just find one, because now that you've paid $80 or $100 a year, now you can just download all of them for free. You don't have to pay any extra. So boom, you get your product. Third step, use what's called a tripwire funnel, where you start with a low ticket front end product like $5 and then upsell people into higher ticket products. So I would say $5 front end, everything should be digital. $5 front end product, $49 order bump. Everybody can Google that if you don't know what that is. Upsell one would be $97, upsell 2, $197, upsell 3, $497. And then depending on what you do, if you sell something that's $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever, the final step in the funnel should be a phone call to get on a call with you or one of your salespeople so they can sell them on the higher ticket funnel. And then each one of these 97, 197, for all that should have a downsell offer as well. So if they don't take the 97, you offer it for 49, et cetera, all the way down.
Yeah, I definitely see that before when I try to look up some products. I do notice that pattern. Does that also apply to like services, like coaching?
Yeah, because one of the best I sell a $25,000 service, and some of the best people to sell to are people who've bought my $69 a month deal or my $97 one-time deal or my $9 a month deal. Whatever it is, a buyer is a buyer. So as long as you get somebody through the process and into the journey and they become a buyer with you, as long as you don't scam them, like, you should be able to upsell a certain amount of them into a higher ticket product, which would be your service. So for copywriting, let's say coaching. Here we go. So let's say you're a relationship coach, right? Let's say you're a relationship coach, or it doesn't matter, but it could be the same model. Relationship coach would have a $5 ebook on the 10 steps to get your relationship back together. Boom, somebody buys it for $5. It's an ebook, digitally fulfilled. Order bump, $49. Here's the whatever text messages that you've got to send to do, whatever. And then you have your upsells. And then the final thing at the end is, want to work with me personally as your coach, schedule a free strategy session and see if you qualify. Now you get on the phone with a person who knows, likes, and trusts you, but has purchased from you, which means when you get on the phone with them, it's not a normal conversation. It's almost like it's not necessarily a celebrity, but you kind of have an interesting positioning advantage.
Right. They would usually get really excited to get on.
Yeah, I hope I qualify for your $25,000 program. I don't have the money, but I hope I qualify.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. So Carlos, to wrap up this interview, I love this interview so much, by the way. It's probably by far the funniest. So, but to honor your time, I just have a last couple of questions to ask you. So we talked about this off camera. I just found out that you're still super young. You're living really the lifestyle that so many people wish they could live. What would you say are some of the biggest rewards that you have been able to achieve because you made this decision to build your own business, to live that freedom lifestyle?
Definitely freedom. So, which could be achieved to a degree at a few levels. Like you can, freedom. I won't go into all the different that stuff, but you can go in. Freedom for sure. And when I say freedom to like kind of wake up when you want, but there's a little caveat to that, because if you don't wake up and do work, you're going to end up waking up to work for somebody else very soon. So that's like, that has only really started happening where I can it's very interesting, because I wish I could say I just sleep till noon. I wake up at 6 and I'm in bed by 9 p.m. I live a more rigid life than some of my neighbors who are employees at big companies. So it's like they're out partying. I'm like, how are you partying? What? Dummy. So anyways, but freedom of choice. You have the ability to do stuff, right? I can go to work or I can not go to work. That's cool. Most people don't have that choice. And even though you have to go to work, in the beginning, you're usually not in an office. You can work from your house. That's really nice and comfortable, especially in the beginning, right? You don't have to fight traffic. And that in itself, for most people, after doing it for 10 years or 20 years, however long they've been doing it, if people haven't gotten into the corporate path yet, they may not value this part yet as much. But people who have to fight traffic for an hour every day and then another hour coming back from work, that's 2 hours a day of just stress and anger, and you don't have to deal with that. It's gone. And you don't have to. I smoke a bunch of weed, marijuana. I smoke about an ounce a week, and there's no way I could do that at a job. I'm pretty high functioning. I do all my stuff right? But there's no way I could do that at a job. I'd have to be drug tested, or if I was sick, I'd be like, I could only have a certain amount of sick days. It's like, what? That's ridiculous. So the biggest benefit is freedom. You have the freedom of choice But you just got to choose wisely, because you can also hang yourself by your own rope.
I love that so much. Okay, so last question. This lifestyle sounds super amazing. Everything that we talked about just seems like really, just a lot of people want that lifestyle, but some of us might still be on the fence. They might be too scared, too fearful to take that leap. So what would you say to these people?
Stack up six. I mean, if you really want to do it, you should just kind of go do it. But I'm not a fan of like, just quit your job, have zero in the bank, and cross your fingers. It's just not smart. Like, just think logically, right? So it's like, if you got a good paying job or any job, and you can stack away 6 months of whatever 6 months means for you, if you can stack 6 months away and just live very frugally while you're stacking that 6 months up, then go and become an entrepreneur, and just possibly, depending on where you live, move. Like, I moved from Miami, my hometown where I've lived all my life. I moved because I didn't know anybody in Jacksonville. I didn't know anybody in Phoenix, Arizona, where I am now. But you move. So that's something an entrepreneur does that employees don't. They stay. They're grounded in one area. They have to be here. If you want to be if you really want to win and you want to just kind of get results fast, you've got to be nimble. Anthony Powell, talking about, since we both know him, told me in 5 minutes in a conversation, dude, you should just move to Phoenix. And I turned to my girlfriend. I said, you want to go to Phoenix? She said, yeah. And we moved.
Wow.
It was done. That was it. That was our decision. But an employee can't do that. Mm-hmm. But you've got to move to opportunity.
Oh, I love it so much. And it's exciting to just move to a new place.
Yeah, it's an adventure. I mean, I used to watch like anime and like all these cool journey type things when I was a little kid. So I consider myself the story, like the actual hero of my story, right? So if my life is a journey, just like it is an anime, well, then that's what's up. You're going to go fight some ninjas eventually. You're going to do some crazy stuff. Like, this is just kind of like your story. So you have to know what's at the end of your story. Like, I know what's at the end of my story, like in my head at least. So that's what I'm shooting towards. But some people, if you don't view it like that, it can be very stressful. But when things get bad, it sounds like such a childish thing, but I'm like, well, what would Goku do? What would some of these other guys do? You know what I mean? Do that. Because they usually got the good lessons. It's like, go towards the hardest stuff, do the right thing. I mean, most of the lessons are just good stuff. So it's like, it can apply to business. Like, I still remember when I think, it's so funny. I did this when I was super broke. When I would, so funny. So I was a big fan of a few of them, like Samurai Champloo, a bunch of these. But like one of my childhood, like Dragon Ball Z was my thing when I was a little kid. And so I remember Goku had to go through this snake road or snake path or whatever it was called. And it was like this huge journey when he was dead to get to this, I think, what was his name? God, it was so long ago. It was like 20 years ago. King Kai's place or something. And then he had this maniac, like crazy journey. Then he fell off this like snake road into the place where you can't even get back up. And that's just what an entrepreneur does. You know, you got to get to the damn place. And so like, whenever I was in my worst position, I'd be like, okay, so I'm right here. Have I fallen off Snake Road? Am I like really bad? No, I'm not that bad. I'm just like on the journey. Good. I got a long path ahead. Then I got to come back.
That is so funny. I love that. I love that analogy that you use.
You got to be able to do these things in your head. I mean, part of childhood, I think, was to prepare you for adulthood. Right, so, use it.
And usually stories really stick with us, and then we can really go back to that again and again.
Absolutely. And you just hope Goku was doing the right thing, because that's your role model.
I actually never seen that anime, so I have no idea.
Replay. You got to go watch it.
I do know this character because I hear that all the time, Goku, but I've never seen it. So I guess I have to.
Tisk.
So Carlos, I really enjoyed this interview with you, and I just want to take this moment to acknowledge you, and you're such an inspiration, especially for people like myself, young people who just started our entrepreneurial journey, and really seeing that you have been able to achieve this success at such a young age and now living this lifestyle is really inspirational. And I hope that this interview has also done something for our listeners and inspire them as well to go out and take advantage of our internet, social media, everything that's in the palm of our hands to really build that amazing lifestyle that we want, doing what we love every day. So Carlos, how can our listeners continue to stay connected with you online after this interview?
Well, I appreciate you having me on. You're an awesome interviewer. This is great. This is like the best interview I've done in a while. I started talking about anime and stuff. It was weird. I've never done that. But what I would say is if anybody has Facebook, add me on Facebook, Carlos Redlich, Redlich. You can also claim a free case study if you're interested in working with our company, where we actually build a complete online business for you using the strategy I laid out for you guys. And you can check out the case study by going to strengthensmellc.com/case study. So strengthensmellc.com/case study.
Awesome. Definitely get your hands on that. And that link will also be inside of the same email that this interview went out to. So make sure you go back to the email, let us know what your biggest takeaway was, and share this interview with a friend or anyone you know who could use this information. So Carlos, thank you again. And thank you everyone for watching this interview. And make sure to check out Anthony Powell's interview as well. He's also in this series. So I will see you guys next time on our next episode. Talk to you soon.